Hey everybody, Trevor Noah here. Welcome to another episode of the Daily Social Distancing Show. It is now day 16 of staying at home to prevent the spread of coronavirus. And here's your quarantine tip of the day. If you're at home and you're bored trying to sterilize everything, I've got a tip for you. If you hold your cleaning product like a gun, you'll feel like you gangster whipping every germ's ass. Pop, 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 pop. Break yourself, corona fool. Anyway, tonight, we're going to catch up on all the latest coronavirus news. New York is putting hospitals everywhere. President Trump loses a trivia contest, and we try to figure out what day it is. So, welcome to the Daily Social Distancing Show.
From Trevor's couch in New York City to your couch somewhere in the world, this is the Daily Social Distancing Show with Trevor Noah.
Let's kick it off with some good news. According to thermometers, social distancing might be working. Yeah, the company Kinza Health, which makes smart thermometers that upload users' temperatures to the internet, reports that fevers across the United States are dropping dramatically. Now, these thermometers accurately predicted the rise in coronavirus hospitalizations, so if they're showing dropping fevers, that's a promising sign. So please, people, let's stay at home. Let's stay inside and keep flattening that curve so that someday we can go back to our normal lives, you know? Don't you want to go outside again, be out there, you know, cutting each other off in traffic, complaining about your allergies, getting invited to your friend's improv show? You know, now that I say it, maybe quarantine isn't that bad. Maybe we should just stay here a little longer. Also, there are some positive signs coming out of the epicenter of this pandemic, New York. Recently, it has gone from being the city that never sleeps to the city that lays awake at night filled with existential dread. But the good news is that, faced with the prospect of overrun hospitals, the city is adapting. The enormous Javits Convention Center has now been converted into a hospital with 1,000 beds. There's an emergency field hospital being constructed in Central Park. Entire hotels will soon be rented out and converted into hospitals. And 5,000 new ICU beds were recently installed inside one of Mayor de Blasio's shoes. Basically, any giant spaces are being filled with beds, even if they kind of smell. Also, some more good news. The Navy has sent over the US hospital ship Comfort, great name, which docked here in New York yesterday. The Comfort has 1,000 hospital beds on board, which New Yorkers are very excited about. In fact, so excited that yesterday a crowd gathered to welcome the boat to the city, which is obviously extremely counterproductive in social distancing land, but it also shows you how much New York has changed. Yeah, because normally we hate it when people show up to the city. Like a month ago, New Yorkers would have gathered to throw rats at that boat. Your mother says hello! And beds aren't the only reinforcements New York is getting right now. Over 76,000 doctors and nurses, many of them who had already retired, have volunteered to step up and help out during this crisis, which is pretty amazing. And a few days ago, a flight full of healthcare workers from Georgia flew to New York to help lend a hand. And I'm really grateful to them. And I also just hope that they didn't land at LaGuardia, because they'd walk around the terminal like, we're too late, the city is already destroyed. Be like, no, this is what it normally looks like. And I'm really grateful for those doctors from Georgia, not only because their help is needed, but also because doctors from Atlanta will probably be the most entertaining doctors you've ever had. They'll be mumble rapping their diagnosis. You have a corona, and the virus is even the stuff in the sun, it's a woo, above the ribbon again, and woo. So thank you, Georgia. We're not going to forget this. New York will not forget what Georgia has done for us. In fact, when this is all over, New York is going to send some of its subway masturbators to your state just to say thanks. And speaking of appreciation, last night, the Empire State Building lit up like a siren to honor all the medical workers serving on the front lines of this epidemic. Now, this might have been a good idea when they first pitched it, but I will tell you, as someone who lives in New York, it was terrifying. The Empire State Building, giant light flashing around, and can you imagine if someone was high in their living room? They must have freaked out. Just like, shit, dude, I think we're getting pulled over by that building. But look, just because there are some signs for optimism doesn't mean we should become complacent, people. Right? Because remember, coronavirus is still growing around the globe. Worldwide, There are now 800,000 cases in at least 171 countries. You know, with the spread of coronavirus, we're learning so many things. We're learning how fragile our medical systems are. We're learning that we need a stronger safety net in society. We're learning we need to pay teachers more. We're learning that thinking about exercise isn't the same as actually doing it. We're also learning which leaders around the world deserve the title of leader. For instance, in Hungary, President Viktor Orban has convinced his parliament to let him rule by decree until the pandemic is over, which essentially makes him a dictator for as long as he wants. Although I'm not going to lie, being a dictator during coronavirus is a little less fun. It's going to be like, I sentence you to torture, which you need to administer to yourself because it is not safe for other people to touch you. So can you torture yourself over Zoom and you can send me the video? No, I don't have Zoom. Then I guess there would be no torture. I wish I had Zoom. And over in Belarus, another leader is President Lukashenko. He's probably one of the worst because he's refusing to cancel public sporting events and instead has been recommending that Belarusians avoid getting the virus by just going to the sauna and then taking a couple shots of vodka 2 to 3 times a week. That's a real thing a president said. Yeah. And you know your medical advice is bad when it makes goop look reasonable. Because I mean, goop may tell you to put an egg in your vagina, but at least they tell you to do it at home and wash your hands first. Now, if you're going to talk about leaders who don't deserve the title leader, you would be remiss if you didn't mention the man himself, the President of the United States, Donald Jericho Trump. Every day he shows us why he is not the right leader for this moment or any other moment. And look, luckily, he decided to back off his plan to quickly reopen the economy by Easter. But he does continue to make a fool of himself. Like yesterday, he tried to show off to everyone how much he knows about South Korea, and he failed spectacularly.
That at one point during this press conference, the president said that he knows South Korea better than anybody.
Mr. President, you said several times that the United States has ramped up testing, but the United States is still not testing per capita as many people as other countries like South Korea.
I know South Korea better than anybody. It's a very tight. Do you know how many people are in Seoul? Do you know how big the city of Seoul is? 38 million people. That's bigger than anything we have. 38 million people.
For the record, almost 10 million people live in Seoul, not 38 million.
Wow. Trump was so wrong, but with so much confidence. I would pay anything to see him be a contestant on The Price is Right. So what's your bid on this new dishwasher? That's easy. $57 billion, Drew. What? I know it all. See, this is why I don't really think Trump is a billionaire. Not because he's a liar, not because he's a fraud, just because I don't think he understands how numbers work. He's like, okay, Trump Tower, that's worth 80 billion, plus Mar-a-Lago, another 52 billion. I'm worth 675 billion, folks. But once again, this just proves that if you say a number with confidence, anyone will believe you. 98% of people know that. So look, there are many leaders around the world who are failing right now. But the good news is there are many other leaders who are rising to the occasion. South Korea's leaders handed their coronavirus policies to medical experts, and it quickly brought the virus under control. South Africa's president has been lauded for being quick to shut down the country and laying out plans. And here in America, in the absence of leadership from the White House, governors from California to Ohio are stepping up to fill the void. Basically, what's happening in America is whatever happens when a family has like an alcoholic dad and then the kids just have to raise themselves. That's what's going on in the US right now. Yeah, Trump is AWOL, so the kids are just like, all right, I guess I'm just gonna drive to the supermarket. Yeah, I'll just drive myself. Kathy, do you wanna make lunch? And the one governor who's crushing it the most right now is Andrew Cuomo. Yes, thanks to his handling of the coronavirus, his approval rating has soared to a 7-year high. And this is crazy, He's even becoming something of a coronavirus crush for many people. Yeah, people online are falling in love with him because of coronavirus and how he's handling it. And I'm not gonna lie, those people include me. My Tinder profile now lists me as a Cuomo sexual. And the thing that I've been enjoying about Cuomo is that in these dark times, he also provides us with some entertainment. It's not just facts, it's not just plans, it's entertainment. I wait for his interviews on CNN that he has with his brother because they always yield gems like this.
Let me ask you something. With all of this adulation that you're getting for doing your job, are you thinking about running for president? Tell the audience.
No. No.
No, you won't answer?
No. I answered. The answer is no.
No, you're not thinking about it?
Sometimes it's one word. I said no.
Have
No.
you thought about it?
No.
Are you open to thinking about it?
No.
Might you think about it at some point?
No.
How can you know what you might think about at some point right now?
Because I know what I might think about and what I won't think about. But you're a great interviewer, by the way.
Appreciate it. Learn from the best.
Okay, from now on, we should make it a rule that every single politician has to be interviewed by their siblings. Because siblings don't give a f***. Did you see how he interrogated him? Are you running for president? No. Are you running for president? No. Are you running for president? Leave me alone. Leader says what? What? Ah, you got me. So look, right now, leaders around the world who are messing up, they might want to take this crisis a little more seriously. Because remember this, coronavirus will disappear someday, but your screw-ups will never go away, not even with a sauna and a couple shots of vodka. Well, that's our show for today. Before we go though, don't forget, doctors and nurses and first responders around the country are still struggling to get the masks, gloves, and gowns that they need to protect themselves. But you can help. So please go to Thrive Global's First Responders First and donate whatever you can to get PPE to the people saving lives right now. And if you want to help in New York City specifically, then you can go to the New York Mayor's Fund COVID-19 response and donate there. Stay safe out there, wash your hands, don't murder your roommates, and I'll see you again tomorrow.